So all of a sudden you're the Vikings fans, and it's like, I'm learning a lot about my state right now. And also, 2 years ago, we were playing for the number 1 seed in the NFC. And then now we are the worst odds to win just our division at this point. What a wild fall that potentially is for what a coach that we think is one of the best
definitely
in the entire league or whatever the case is. The NFL is so hard. And if you're winning, you got to hold on to that for as long as you possibly.
Position.
Well, not only, but I just think in general, if you are winning, you have to hold on for dear God. And that goes to Minnesota Vikings now. They're looking for a veteran quarterback. It is very obvious. Every report coming out of the Combine is like the Minnesota Vikings are open for conversation. Conman, you have been big on if Kyler Murray gets into Kevin O'Connell's offense.
Yeah.
Because whenever we talk about arm talent, right, we talk about Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. Whenever you talk about the ability to be in the moment, I guess, because you've been there, done that. There's stats coming out of you look at Kyler Murray's desert era, and he sent out a tweet saying thank you to Arizona. He was so thankful. 20,000 yards, passing.
Yeah.
121 touches. You start looking at stats, it's like he's accomplished a lot of shit. A lot of shit has happened on a football field with Kyler Murray. He's seen a lot of snaps. He's seen a lot of defenses. Now, the entire conversation is the off-the-field stuff. Is he an actual leading man? Is he a front man? Is he a CEO of a billion-dollar organization? Is he a guy that'll do everything you need him to do to be the starting quarterback, and also the influence on the rest of the entire team and how the locker room goes? The team goes as the quarterback goes, and that's not just on the field. That's how he operates. That's how he kind of handles everything. And the conversation always around Kyler has been like the off-field stuff, not necessarily exactly what you would want for quarterback. Definitely wide receiver, running back. He's in a corner. He's an immense talent. He's the only guy ever to be drafted top 10 in MLB and the NFL.
Yes.
You're talking about freak show athlete, one of the greats in the history of humans existing. It was just always a conversation, is he an NFL quarterback? And I think that got thrown at him a lot. But then you look at we can't talk about him now, obviously, because that is a breach of contract for the NFLPA. But you look at the NFLPA report cards back whenever they were put out.
Sure.
Just back in the day, last year.
Yep.
Can't talk about.
Everything's terrible with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Everything's terrible with the Arizona Cardinals. There's been people that have gone over there that we have respect for, lost. Mm-hmm. There are stories that have come out of there where you go, that's not a real organization. They're not the only ones. Mm-hmm. There's certainly other places. So was anybody ever going to win at Arizona? Would it have taken somebody like a Peyton Manning, who's like an executive, coming in there being quarterback? Remember, the story was he interviewed Bill Polian of the Indianapolis Colts whenever he was coming out, as opposed to the other way around. Would it have taken somebody to go in there and change the entire, hey, this is how we're doing this, this is how we're doing this, this is how we're doing this? And how many of those exist in the modern world that we're in? Is anybody, or would anybody have been able to do a successful job for the Arizona Cardinals? That is a question now that I think is allowed to be asked.
Sure.
I am also a person that as soon as I saw the clause put into Kyler's contract that's never been put in anybody else's contract that say you got to watch film, immediately said that can't happen at the quarterback position because of how high I hold the quarterback position in. I hold the quarterback position in such high regard. You are GM, coach, and that's because I watched Peyton. That is literally how I got introduced to the NFL, is watching Peyton Manning do it and how he operated. And it's like, this is a GOAT? Yeah, okay. Then you hear stories about how Tom Brady operates. This is a GOAT? Okay, this is how this is supposed to go. Go back to the day. So that's how I hold the quarterback position. So whenever that clause gets put in there for the first time ever for a guy, that was tough for me to ever believe. But as we continue to learn shit about this Cardinals organization, it's like, what, anybody ever tell them? Like, hey, this is how this shit's supposed to go.
Yeah.
This is what you're supposed to do. Like Vrabel right now with Drake May, he's letting him know, hey, this is how you talk to these guys. This is where you go. Mm-hmm. This is what you do on Thursday nights instead of being at home with the lovely and Michael.
Of course,
and Michael May
yeah.
and all that stuff. You're going to dinner with boys here. You're buying them this. Like somebody is teaching people how to do this job as well right now, literally in New England. I assume Sean Payton's doing the same thing with Bo Nix. It's like, did Kyler ever have somebody tell him exactly how to be? All these questions still remain. And then you turn on the tape and you watch this thing happen, and it's like,
yeah.
So if Kevin O'Connell can get Kyler Murray to buy in to learning his offense entirely, and that I'm not saying that that'll be a problem, but I'm saying if he can get him to buy into that offense completely and understand what's going on and utilize everything that he can do, it's like that would be a lethal that would be a problem. Like, I think if he was able to get the best out of Kyler Murray, I think that would be a problem. And also the Minnesota Vikings, who are the worst in the division, become the story of the season where it's like, see, we gave up on these guys way too soon, both of them. There's a chance that could happen in Minnesota, and you have been the driver behind that in my world. So I appreciate you opening my eyes for that.
It's just like Sam Darnold. Like, obviously, Kyler Murray was the first overall pick. He's had success. He's led a team to the playoffs, and Sam Darnold before Minnesota wasn't technically that, didn't have that type of resume. But if you were to bring Kyler into a KOC offense, Kyler, like you mentioned, he gets a KOC kind of, course on how to attack a defense, which, as we've seen, once he gets a quarterback in there, he can teach anybody to do it. He had Josh Dobbs' ear for 3 days, and Josh Dobbs went on to win. And then you mentioned the talent around him. He's never played with talent like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. He's had A.J. Green in the back half of his career, D-Hop for a little bit. Trey McBride has been his guy as of recent. But as far as Justin Jefferson type level, like, that has to be the most attractive guy as far as wanting to play with, wanting to throw the football to him. Now, we've talked a lot about it. Their cap is awful. They have a really, really tough cap situation. That's why Grenard and all these guys are being told, like, hey, we might trade you. You're getting released. But that's why the $1.2 million number for Kyler Murray is perfect for Minnesota. Like, if you're Kyler, you don't have to go to Minnesota forever, but you can go for 1 year, learn the KOC offense, see what Sam Darnold has become, realize I can do that, and also know that, hey, if I go out there and absolutely ball out for the Vikings, they're not going to do the same thing that they did with Sam Darnold with me. They already realized, like, hey, we had Sam Darnold, we let him go. We go from 14 wins to 9 wins, miss the playoffs. If I go there and win 12, 13 games, the Vikings most likely are going to give me a deal.
You talk about all these great things that could happen. I don't know if you mentioned it there as I was trying to read some stats. Daniel Jones has credited the Minnesota Vikings for making him a much better quarterback. Like, Kevin O'Connell, with the way he handled his week, what he looked at, like, helped me out. It's almost becoming like a Shanahan type situation over there in San Francisco. If you're a quarterback, hey, learn how to be the guy. This is kind of what you can do on that. You see Mac Jones throw that chunk of ice with
Cool. That was unbelievable.
Oh my God.
He's just one of the boys now. He's not backup QB, Mac Jones.
Unbelievable. Takes a shot out of this thing. I've never seen this concoction. Is that snow? I'm not 100% sure. Whatever the case.
Jeez.
Hose.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hosenhazen.
Good moves.
Right there. I mean, that was a Hosenhazen out of Mac Jones right there. And then immediate dance afterwards. You see George Kittle just like rock his head back and then keep laughing. George's reaction was, that's Mac. Yeah. That was his exact reaction there. Mac's vibes. Feels like he's having a good, can't spell immaculate.
That's without Mac.
Without Mac right there in the middle. I love seeing that. But on that note, he goes to San Francisco, becomes what he's become, as I assume it's going to happen again. It's like Kevin O'Connell has already been given credit. If Kyler was to go over there and have success, everybody else would be like, of course. Like, this is obviously what it is. And then you just have to start thinking about that NFC North, and it's like, who's the odd one out?
The Vikings.
If Kyler, let's say Kyler has success.
The Vikings.
Yep, I agree.
What?
Yeah.
You don't think he has a chance to become? He's 28 years old.
Bears.
Athletically, talented-wise, yeah. But, we've all heard the same stuff. I mean, what is he going to change overnight?
Maybe. And I thought about this as well. Maybe everything they were saying is unfixable, like being an NFL quarterback. What it calls for to be an NFL quarterback. Like, that is interesting. But what if he hears all that and just strictly out of spite decides
that would be cool.
That he's gonna, like, you know what? I'm going to prove everybody wrong, and I'm going to go in here and absolutely. There's a chance with how competitive he is that becomes his angle, and he's almost driven out of that fact. So I'm not saying that everything that they were saying about him is true, and I'm not saying that I don't believe in him, but there is a chance that he uses it all as like motivation to become the best version of himself so that he can say, I told you so, basically, to almost everybody. That is certainly an angle that athletes have used in the past.
Absolutely.
Especially elite athletes.
Yeah, and he's playing for a coach, obviously. Well, if he goes to Minnesota, he'd be playing for KOC, who's former player, former quarterback. And this is a position that Kyler Murray's never been in, at least from my perspective. He's kind of always been that guy, even coming from Texas. Like, he was, I think, the most decorated quarterback coming out of Texas, then going on to be the Heisman winner, #1 pick. And this is a guy who's, 5'9", 5'10", achieving these type of things. You mentioned being drafted in MLB, the top 10 as well. Like, this has always been the elite of the elite. So now he's in a position where the whole football world is looking at him. Everybody's kind of out on him. He'll be playing for, $1 million for this team. Obviously, he'll be getting his money, but they'll be paying. So now you're in a brand new situation. You're not the guy walking into the building. You're a guy that we hope can be the guy. So, yeah, he can do this out of spite and out of just kind of like, sometimes you get older and you start to see things from different perspectives. We know he has the talent. That isn't a question. And now having the other pieces, Justin Jefferson and some other pieces that he have there, man, it could be one of the best turnarounds that we can see in the NFL.
Yeah, and you described it right there perfectly. It could be a maturity situation, Whenever you finally get told that you're not the one, don't come in the building, we don't want you. Yeah. There is a perspective changer that could potentially happen. There is reports, ESPN report that came out that said he's interested in 2 teams, and we would assume that if one of those teams is the Vikings, that everybody who throws a football good would certainly be interested in that particular gig because of Kevin O'Connell. And Connor and I had this conversation earlier. We were just out there. Might be nice not to have Scottsdale and Old Town and,
A lot less to do.
Yeah.
Scottsdale to Minnesota.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Whoa, geez.
Minnesota's beautiful.
It's beautiful, when the season starts. If you're not used to it and you're used to
that. Oh, you think it might break them?
Yeah, I mean, negative 20 degrees, dark at 4 p.m. Like that. People talk about seasonal depression. If you're from here, it's like whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, I am depressed.
Yeah,
thanks.
Exactly.
And it's not just that season. There's 4 of them.
But I think this is he has an opportunity to kind of just flip all the narratives because whether it is true or not, that is what everyone says. You go to a place like Minnesota where if things aren't going great, that could go really bad, or he could be their savior.